Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Quick History. Today, I'll be talking about the Rowlatt Act of 1919. And because this is a quick history, we'll be done in just 5 minutes or less. So let's begin. Before we learn about the Rowlatt Act, we must first learn about the law that preceded it, namely the Defence of India Act of 1915. This was an emergency criminal law enacted by the Viceroy of India at the time, Charles Harding. The intention was to curtail any nationalist or revolutionary activities during and after the First World War. The Defence of India Act could be applied to any citizen and was used extensively against Indians. The passing of this act was supported unanimously by the Imperial Legislative Council, which consisted of several members from India as well. These Indian members included the rulers of several princely states, wealthy landowners, legal experts, and a few businessmen who approved of the act. They believed this law was necessary to protect British India from nationalist violence during the First World War. However, it was used indiscriminately to stifle genuine political dissent by Indian nationalists, and as a result, it became super unpopular with the public. Unsurprisingly, it faced heavy hate within India. The act was applicable only during World War I and for a period of 6 months after the war had ended. World War I ended on the 11th of November in 1918, and the government was now worried that nationalist activities such as riots and protests would go completely unchecked. This is when Sir Sidney Rowlatt enters the picture. He was the president of the Sedition Committee, which was formed to investigate Marxists and communists who may have existed amongst the public. The committee came up with the Anarchical and Revolutionary Crimes Act of 1919, which is popularly known as the Rowlatt Act or the Black Act. This act was also passed by the Imperial Legislative Council in Delhi on the 21st of March in 1919. It extended several provisions of the Defence of India Act beyond the 6-month period after the war had ended, such as arrest without warrants, indefinite preventive detention, trials without juries, and conviction without trial for most political acts. This law also provided for strict control of the press. The accused were also prohibited from taking part in any political, educational, or religious activities. Apart from these repressive measures, Sidney Rowlatt introduced 2 new bills in the Central Legislature in February of 1919. These bills came to be known as the Black Bills. They gave enormous powers to the police as they no longer needed a search warrant to enter someone's premises or even an arrest warrant to lock people up. The sole purpose of the act was to curb the growing nationalist unrest in the country. Mahatma Gandhi, among other Indian leaders, was extremely critical of the act and argued that not everyone should be punished in response to isolated political crimes. Madan Mohan Malviya and Muhammad Ali Jinnah resigned from the Imperial Legislative Council in protest against the act. The act also angered many other Indian leaders and the general public as well. This caused the government to implement repressive measures such as violent police crackdowns against peaceful protesters. The implementation of the act led to widespread protests across India. The protests against the act were especially strong in and around Punjab. On the 10th of April, sensing that the protests may take a violent turn, the police arrested several nationalist leaders and martial law was imposed in the region. The infamous General Reginald Dyer took over command and ordered that all public gatherings be banned in Amritsar. Unfortunately, his orders did not reach several villages around Amritsar in time. The people in this region celebrated the Baisakhi festival on the 13th of April, and several villagers came to Amritsar and gathered for the festival at Jallianwala Bagh. Several protesters against the Rowlatt Act were also present amongst the crowd, but most of the people didn't know about the imposition of martial law as the news hadn't reached them yet. General Dyer entered the area with his troops, and without issuing any warning, they opened fire on the crowd. Almost 400 people died on that day, and over 1,000 were injured. General Dyer was not convicted for his crime, but the British government never allowed him to work in India again. After this incident, a repressive laws committee was set up in 1921 to examine several laws which the Indian public was completely against. The Rowlatt Act, along with several other repressive laws, were removed in March of 1922. And that's been the Rowlatt Act in less than 5 minutes. If you like that video, don't forget to share and subscribe. What do you guys think of the Rowlatt Act? Was it really necessary to use such violent laws against peaceful protesters? Or do you think the Rowlatt Act prevented major acts of violence in India at the time? Let me know in the comments below. And in any case, thank you so much for watching.